Podcast fam, today on the show we have John Tull, Senior Manager of Business Development for Gators Sports Properties of Learfield IMG College. Gator Sports Properties is the group that partners with the UAA and sells advertising partnerships for the Florida Gators. And in today's episode, we get into talking about marketing college sports. 17,000 fans in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. What's that going to be like? Having an optimistic mindset through 2020, ignoring the noise, having the greatest comeback of all time, and sharing the good stuff. It's free on this episode of the WHOA GNV podcast. You are listening to WHOA podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast for you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa! I am your host, Collin, and my co-host is Michael Dees.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm well.
It's a great looking shirt you got on there.
Hey, I was just thinking the same thing about yours.
Hey, you guys, just want to remind everybody that we did this collaboration with our last guest, Caroline Staniski. Check these out, these Gainesville, Florida t-shirts. Go buy one right now at WHOAGNV.com. Go to our shop on the website, and these are $30, and you'll be supporting Caroline and our podcast. And, check it out.
That's awesome. I love that.
Super limited edition.
Super limited edition.
I'll buy two.
Yeah?
I'm going to get two.
Hey, man, thank you very much. We have 125 of these only.
Right.
And now John just bought two, so we have 123 of these only. So definitely go get your orders in now, you guys.
We are selling two every hour.
Hey, it's moving right along. This is going just fantastic.
3 days, they're all gone.
Can't wait to get into today's episode. But before we do, you guys, definitely want to give some love to some sponsors. You guys, if you have ever bought land, sold property, or negotiated a lease, you know why it's important to have someone in your corner who knows the market and delivers results, y'all. That's why our friends over at Colliers International, they're the ones that you want to reach out to. The GNV advisors over at Colliers International. You see their signs all over town, and they have the most experienced commercial real estate team in the market, along with access to a global network of industry experts. With one call, you'll know why so many businesses trust them. Learn more at colliers.com/Gainesville. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's rock and roll, baby. John, are you ready?
I am ready.
John's ready, y'all. John is ready. Let me flip my page here so I get to my formal intro here. Today on the show, we have John Tull, Senior Manager of Business Development for Gators Sports Properties of Learfield IMG College. John, what's up, man? Welcome.
Hey, welcome to you guys. Thank you for having me here. Boy, it's a pleasure. I never been over to this area before. Love your store.
Thank you so much, man.
Checking out the scooters, man.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, John, we actually connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Before you even got to Gainesville, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you knew you were coming.
I knew I was coming. I was trying to hook up with all the movers and shakers, and you're one of the first people I reached out to.
Is he a mover or a shaker?
Yeah, which
both.
one?
He's both.
But no, I was really I was looking into a lot of your content even then, and knew you were coming to the area. When did you officially get to Gainesville?
Well, we moved here in January. I mean, I showed up in mid-December.
Okay.
Just to kind of learn the lay of the land, spent some time in Orlando at our office, and then came over to Gainesville and attended some of the NCAA volleyball matches, at the O-Dome. That was pretty cool. And and then moved, loaded up the truck and moved to Gainesville from East Lansing, Michigan. So.
And then just like that, COVID.
And just like that, COVID, it was crazy, man. I mean,
2020 and COVID.
2020 and COVID. I mean, we got down here right after the new year and got moved in. And I'm working all these hoops games and these baseball games, and I love it. I mean, I work every sport. I take about 200 or 300 photos and videos at every event I ever work, and I'm getting after it. And the next thing I know, we're all getting the word saying on March, whatever it was, at the final baseball game when those guys from Tallahassee broke our winning streak.
Right.
That was the final event I worked. It was like, oh my God, now we're done. Are you kidding me? And the next thing you know, we're working from home, and and then a few weeks later, I think we hooked up on a Zoom call or something, right? So just crazy to look back then,
Yeah, it's been a very interesting year. So, like, we can dive into so much more of that because I really like to get the inside looks at things. But before we do, like, why don't you tell us a little bit of your story, like a little bit of like who you are, what you've been doing all these years, what brought you to Gainesville.
No, you got it. Yeah,
man.
I mean, I'm kind of like a sports marketing freak of nature, to be honest with you. So everything you're going to hear in the next few minutes just talks about me and my sports background. I mean, I grew up in South Bend, Indiana. Huge Notre Dame fan. My dad would play the college fight songs on Saturday, and I'd be 6 years old, and I'm marching around the house to all the college fight songs of the Big Ten and the East Coast teams and whatever. And I'm going to my games when I'm 6 years old with my dad, and then just a sports enthusiast. My brother played football for the Irish, with Joe Montana, and I'm in the locker room after every big win and just hanging out with the big boys, And
how old were you when your brother was playing? Okay, so you're 12 and your
12.
brother's playing.
He was playing second team guard for the Fighting Irish, and in 1977 they won the national championship with Joe Montana at quarterback. And so when you're 12 years old, man, I mean, yeah, that's my brother, but yeah, that's Joe Montana, that's Ross Browner, that's Vegas Ferguson, all these guys that I grew up watching, right?
Right.
And so that was kind of cool, and I played. Played high school basketball and football and went on to play college football at a little school called DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana. Little D3 action, I lettered on special teams. Okay. I was a tight end. Nobody ever blocked a punt, an extra point, or a field goal on my watch, man. Seriously. I was out there on special teams. Never once did I let somebody block the kick. But anyway, but no, what got us to South Bend in the first place was my dad was a history professor. He got his PhD in history at Notre Dame, and so we were in the whole academic life. Dad's got the summers off, and he's teaching history and all that kind of good stuff. And so I majored in history, thinking that I wanted to go into coaching because my older brother, who was at Notre Dame, went on to Cincinnati Moeller High School, which is a pretty big football school. And he went on to coach and teach, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. So I used an internship at DePaul my senior year and got a 1-month internship at Notre Dame in their athletic department. And that's when it really clicked with me that I wanted to be the guy that worked in the business of sports. Because all along I was the guy, selling T-shirts and bus trips, to D3 NCAA tournaments, and hey, buy the $60 package, you get a shirt and a ticket, and I'm pocketing like $40 a pop. Nobody knew that at the time, but I was the guy always trying to sell stuff like that from a sports standpoint. So yeah, and I ended up getting a master's degree in sports management at IU Bloomington, and from there I went on to this crazy long journey of operating minor league baseball teams in the Carolina League, the Midwest League. Operating hockey teams in the East Coast Hockey League and the UHL and the IHL, and just traveling around the country, going to that next big gig when someone, says, hey, we want you to come out here and be our CEO or our president and all that kind of good stuff. And I did that for 20 years. And it was a blast, because as the president or CEO of a team, I mean, you're in charge of new stadium projects, new arena projects, the promotions, the marketing. I mean, I'm hosting radio shows, I'm hosting TV shows, I'm selling them, I'm producing them, I'm raising money for charity, and that was just my background. I just did everything, and after a while, though, it wears on you because you have ownership groups that own those teams, just like the major leagues, right? And there's some good owners and some bad owners, and so finally, I don't know, it was wearing on me. My wife and I were like, man, another ownership group could come in and buy this team, and whatever. And that's 2008, and that's when I got recruited by Learfield to start my college sports career. So that's what I did in 2008. I went to Penn State. And famous last words, my wife's a Penn Stater, and so it was good to get back to Pennsylvania, right? And we're out in California, and they want me to go out there and sell sponsorships for the Nittany Lions and use all that experience that I just told you about, buying, advertising, and stuff like that. And college sports, and that's why I'm here. It's multi-generational. It's not going anywhere. There's not an owner of the Florida Gators. There's not an owner of the Penn State Nittany Lions. They're not going to not fund the team and then fold it up and move it to some other town, And my wife's last words, Lori, says, "Oh, what a great opportunity! I mean, what could go wrong at Penn State?" And then 2 years later, Jerry Sandusky gets arrested. It's like, that's rough. It was a rough, a rough couple of times. Yeah. So, I went from there to Pitt to Michigan State. Larry Nassar got arrested. Anyway, that was interesting timing too. And I came down here, and there's a pandemic. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
so it just seems to follow you now.
Yeah, no. But that's me. I'm a sports marketing freak in nature. I'm a promoter. My whole life I've been a promoter, and so I kind of spun it into sports sales, sports promotions, entertainment, entertaining fans from start to finish. You guys put on a great show. You're so entertaining. You know what it's like to entertain people, right? But there's work that goes into it. You got to plan it, man. You got to, figure it out. And I love that. I used to love, just having 6,000 or 7,000 people at a hockey game, and I'm out there with a microphone doing shtick and whatever, introducing the Chamber of Commerce person to accept the check to raise money for the Leukemia Society. Yeah. That's what's so cool about sports. It's attachment to the community, and that's why I stuck with it all these years. Just love it.
Yeah, so, that's really cool. What's like the biggest thing, like from a sports standpoint, that you've sold? Like when you talk about advertising and promoting, like what's, is it like the name? Are we talking like the name on the side of the stadium type thing? Are we like what is it?
So I haven't necessarily done anything to that nature per se, but I was real proud of my hot dog deal at Penn State. we had the largest hot dog deal in the company with Learfield, with Gates and Watson out of Philadelphia, and it was a significant deal. So it was just, let's just say, a lot of money. Right. And that was kind of cool when you get involved with something like that. And because at first I didn't know if I could cut the mustard, but anyway, it was good stuff. So
I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah. Are you down with that over there?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because there's more coming, man.
Good.
All right. Yeah. But one of my first big sales, though, you appreciate this. I was in South Bend, Indiana, in 1993, and we were going to have the Joe Walsh concert. I don't know if you've heard of Joe Walsh. He's a part of the Eagles, remember him?
Yeah, the part of the...
Right. Anyway, so we had Joe Walsh, and we were looking for a sponsor, and I was so excited. I got Value City Department Store kicking $10,000 in 1992 to present the show, and that was a big deal back then, just to put their name on the information. We're going to sell 6,000 or 7,000 tickets anyway, right? So, they're a brand new company coming to town, and that's what I like about sports and sponsorships and charitable fundraisers that I've sat on boards over the years and raised money. Like just the whole idea of getting somebody to connect their brand with the audience, or connect their brand with the fans, and then the fans get connected to their brand. And you guys, that's why I'm excited to be here, because you guys are some of the best in the business when it comes to doing that, man. You do a great job of connecting brands with fans and fans with brands, and I love it. So,
well, thank you.
Cool.
Let's talk real quick. I can dive so much more into advertising, marketing, all that sort of stuff, because that's a huge passion of mine. But given the fact that this episode is going to air on Monday, September 21st,
yeah,
we got football season right around the corner. It's like, is it this, like, when?
Hopefully. Yeah, that would be the following Saturday, yeah.
This Saturday. That's good. For everybody who's listening, obviously, we record in advance, but this coming Saturday, we got Gator football.
Oh.
All right. What are your thoughts? What's going through your mind right now, given everything that has happened this year with this COVID mess? And I'm like, dude, Mike, do you know if you're going to be one of the 17? Is it 17,000 people that are going to be in this thing? Yeah. Like, how do you get into that lottery?
Right. I have no idea. I haven't even heard how they're going to do tickets yet, other than they said 20% capacity, 17,000 people. So
right,
John, we need.
So here's the
straight up. We need your help, because this guy hasn't missed. He hasn't missed a home game since 2003.
Yeah,
2003. Right. He's been to every single one.
That's right.
Wow. Every single one.
Right. And the only reason I wasn't there in 2003 is because I was still in high school.
Oh, okay.
So I came to fall of 2004, and I've been to every single game.
Well, there's definitely a little asterisk next to this year, right? So,
Right.
But
and so that's what's crazy is I don't know, this sounds like anti-fan, but as soon as they announced that they were going to allow people in there, I was like, oh man, now I'm going to have to figure out a way to go. And that's totally counterintuitive to how it usually is. Usually I get out there at 6 a.m. and start tailgating, even if the game's not till 7 p.m.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how but with
the whole
dynamic of COVID, not tailgating, and 20% capacity and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, man, I'm gonna end up doing this just to keep the streak alive. But I kind of wish that they didn't. I could just watch it on TV for once,
and I'm not even really sure what's going on in Gainesville that day in terms of there was discussions about what's going to be open, what's not open.
Yeah, they're talking about closing businesses, restaurants. Dude.
So I have to tell you, though, I think, it's going to be, I mean, this is the greatest comeback story of our lifetime, right? That we are going to, somehow, some way, we're all going to make it through this pandemic, right? But when football starts up again in the SEC, and I've only been here for 6 months, man, I'm all in on the SEC right now. Now, I mean, that's my job, but anyway. But no, I am, though. And then here's the thing, though. When we play football on the 26th on the road at Ole Miss, oh, my God. I mean, that's going to be like just this huge celebration, right? Where everybody's going to be just celebrating internally, inside, in their homes, whatever, online, like, wow, it is real. Because 3 or 4 months ago, I don't think anybody thought that was real.
Right.
And that was just so disparaging and down at the time. You know, we're all just, people are hearing disparaging remarks about you can't do this. Everybody, it's always what you can't do for the last three months. And now we're going to play football on the 26th, a 10-game schedule. And in our world, I mean, we're selling sponsorships right now, you know, and we're fitting people in where they can fit in. You know, it's not going to be in front of 90,000 fans at the Swamp. But, you know, we're anticipating with some of the highest listened to radio broadcasts in the history of Gator Sports Network with 35 stations from the Panhandle all the way down to Miami, all that, you know, which is great. I mean, I'm a big fan of, you know, there's still that great audience for radio, for play-by-play with Mick Hubert and those guys. We're anticipating some of the largest, the biggest TV ratings in the history of SEC football, let alone the Gators. I mean, 2 conferences aren't even playing. So all of our games, I mean, we got field level signage that we're out there trying to sell right now to some people that we never had before. So are those
the pivots? Like, that's the pivots? Is like there's going to be signage down on the field?
Yeah, we're pivoting.
It's going to be like soccer stadium status or what?
Maybe not like that, but we're going to be adding a few more signs. You know, so right now there's a few signs down there. Maybe do you recall what 2 signs were down there last year? Or no. No, anyway, Cheez-Its and Buffalo Wild Wings was down there.
Okay.
So I just looked at a picture before I came. Anyway, but no, I mean, but it's in play, right? So I mean, you can see it every kickoff, whatever, but we're going to add more signage in the corners. We've been working with the UAA, and we're still working that out, but every team is. You know, you look at some of those shots of some of those other games, and they have tarped seats, you know, with logos and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm really excited because I came from the Big Ten for the last 4 years at Michigan State, and they're just really hurting up there. Everybody's just hurting at Penn State, too. The Big Ten football. I mean, they're just really, really struggling right now psychologically just with what's going on, right? They're not playing. And we are. So, yeah, I can't wait, man. And then the next weekend is our first home game, you know, that you'll be at.
Right.
Right. You have to be at. I mean, I got to figure it out somehow, some way, right? I mean, you know, sneak you in, we'll give you a referee's outfit or something, just walk in.
But you know what? I mean, what's so crazy is that, like, that we're saying this, you know, for everybody's listening, we're recording on September 8th, and I'm just like, and I feel like I have to say that this year, that we're recording this on September 8th because September 9th, it could all change.
Right.
Yeah. No,
I mean, like, it's just like, it could, I mean, we're talking about football happening on this Saturday, and then, hey, like, now it's not. Like, that could happen.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's just this year has just been so
especially with
bizarre.
you guys. I mean, again, I'm not just, you know, tooting your horn because I'm sitting in front of you, but I do love your show, and I've been watching it a lot. And the thing is, it's a great show. But obviously, you have another job. You know what I mean? You know what the pandemic's been doing to small businesses, big businesses, other size businesses across Gainesville, Central Florida, the whole state, right? So, you know, yeah, you have every right to sit there and say, what's tomorrow going to bring? Cross my fingers and you know, say a prayer and say, oh, hey, the sun's out again. Let's go, you know? And that's, I mean, from a sports standpoint, though, the good sign, I think, is that baseball's still going. You know, the Cardinals haven't ruined it for everybody. The Marlins didn't ruin it. You know what I mean? With all the early cases, like, they just got it out of their system, and I think you're going to see a few cases here and there with football for sure. You know, I mean, those Rock Neat cards I gave you earlier. I mean, it's a big deal up in South Bend to have Notre Dame football this Saturday against Duke.
Yeah,
I mean, they're very excited about that. So,
I mean, like, what's going through your mind with all of this? I mean, because you're the most hardcore Gator fan I know. So,
yeah, it's for me, it's tough. Like I definitely echo everything you said about the, you know, the energy and that the positive spin it can be, like, where, you know, so little has been normal this year that finally it feels like a return to some bit of comfort and normalcy. But for me personally, like, it is kind of that asterisk type thing. Like, it still just doesn't feel right because it's not going to be what we've come to expect. And so it's hard to get, like, real amped up and real excited? Is it really coming? Because usually it's like by the time we get done with busy season at New Scooters for Less and the calendar flips to September, I'm like one track mind. Like I can't wait for football season to start. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's going to have a couple weeks away. It's just kind of very, not apathetic, but like, I don't know.
But you're not alone, man. I mean, seriously, that's the feeling I get from sponsors, from family members, from people I meet, in Florida here in Gainesville. A lot of caution.
Yeah. So how are you convincing or getting past that as a marketer, right? Because you come to me like that, I'm like, dude, they ain't nobody in the stadium. They like,
right.
I mean, hell, even with our business, like we've definitely been super cautious about where we're investing our marketing dollars. Right?
Oh, right.
And it's just like, does this make sense in the current?
Well, I mean,
time,
it's one of those, as old as the hills type of scenarios where we're trying to control what we can control, and so we can't control the number of people going to the games, how that's going to work. We don't know. I mean, I think people will want to go to the games, so I don't think they're going to have a problem filling those 17,000 seats. But if you're a partner A, we won't name one right now, and you're used to being in front of 90,000 fans at the Swamp, yeah, you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, that's not what I paid for, right? I mean, so we're mitigating, we're working through different scenarios to help those people out and whatever. But going back to what I said earlier, I mean, just, the power of radio, the power of TV, just the power of digital. Oh my God. I mean, our digital sales are through the roof. I mean, people are just, dialed into the fact that when football season does start, there's all that traffic on FloridaGators.com that's just going to skyrocket.
Right.
It's been a little bit slower lately, you would imagine, just because of everything that's been going on, but it's starting to pick up. So again, we're just controlling the things that we can control and putting together packages for clients and customers who really want to get out there in front of that Gators fan base and let them know that they're still alive. That's the other thing. It's the greatest comeback story of our lifetime for everybody, for you guys, for us, for the fans, for our partners. Some people unfortunately had to fold up their tent, right? That's sad. Well, some people didn't do that, and they're waiting for the perfect chance to come back and really show people that they're still around. And we're all in this together, is my point too. It's like, so we all have to support each other. So I'm looking forward to hopefully a lot of clients coming together here in the next few weeks and chatting up Gator football and the Gators and, just getting after it, So
I'm sorry I'm really stuck on this 17,000 fan thing, but I almost feel like there should be auditions.
Right.
Like we should see who can scream the loudest.
Like submit a fan video or something.
Yeah.
Why you deserve a spot.
Yes.
That's a great idea. I mean, and truthfully, I mean, we're Gator Sports Properties with Learfield Sports, and we work closely with the UAA, but that's not, that's their call. I mean, they tell us what direction they're going when it comes to the fans. And so I'm not even really sure what direction they're going with students yet.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what part of that 17,000 includes students. Is there a lottery?
Dude,
I don't know.
You know what? There ain't no students here. How many students are actually here?
Yeah, you tell me. I was wondering about that.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, like we were just talking about this in the last episode a little bit, like at the beginning of it, and it was just, Gainesville does not feel like Gainesville right now.
Yeah.
It's
from an energy standpoint.
From an energy standpoint, like when August gets here, the energy changes overnight. It just feels like just renewed energy coming through. I mean, you just feel it. The traffic increases, and there's just people. There's just more people. Just different vibe. I don't even know how to describe it, but all I can is I've always been able to tell when that switch flips in Gainesville and the students are back.
Well, I'm with you because
and right now it's just not there.
You're right. It doesn't. I mean, this is our activation season too, so really we're feeling it too. This is usually a time where we're ramping up, and doing these crazy activations with fans or students or whatever, and those are just. Fewer this year. I mean, people are kind of taking a step back, saying, "Hey, let's see how this plays out." I don't want to overinvest in something that I'm not sure how many people are going to be there, or not sure how many games they're going to play. I'm all in on the 10 games, man. I mean, I think we're going to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Really. I mean, and I know you guys are with me, right?
Yeah.
All right, man. All right, so make sure because I just don't think there's going to be a problem. I think the Gators are going to win the SEC. And I even told this to somebody back in my hometown of South Bend, Indiana recently. The Gators are going to take on the Irish for the national championship, and the Gators will take them. So, yeah.
You've already predicted all this.
I've got it.
This is out there.
This is out there.
We'll see.
Yeah. So,
Mike, your thoughts?
I'd love to play the Irish in the national championship game because since 1977, how many have they won? No, I'm just kidding.
Right. One.
Yeah,
One.
Lou Holtz. Yeah, no, I mean, that all sounds fantastic.
Right.
It's just tough, and I don't want to spend too much more time talking about that aspect of it, but like I think that's where football is a little bit different than some of the other sports too, because of the nature of the sport and the impact. And you've got these student athletes. Some of them are opting out. Their eligibility isn't being affected because it's not going to count against them. And then the whole idea of just the physicality of the sport and what we don't know about COVID and
right.
the ties to certain brain things and people being afraid to play, and it just kind of. It just feels different. Like, you know, it almost reminds me like when UCF won the national championship and everyone gave them hell about it because what did they actually win? It's like, okay, you've got 2 Power 5, conferences not even playing, and you've got all of these, aspects of what the season
right.
is going to look like. Is whoever wins, is it legitimate? And I'm not here saying it's not, but it just part of that feels like it's missing,
It's true. It's very 2020.
But I'll sum that up for you. I think we just have to roll with the punches, man.
Right.
Like if they win, they win. Like when my Cubs win the World Series this year.
If someone's going to be the champion, I want it to be us. I don't care
right.
what asterisk there's going to be.
Right.
Like
I said,
it's competitive. I want to win.
When the Cubs win it all in a couple months, hey, it's still a championship, right?
Right.
I mean,
And we saw it in the hockey. The stuff's coming out right now. I'm a big Tampa Bay Lightning fan. They're still in.
Yeah, they're still in. Right.
So that's good. But the Capitals won last year, and apparently they reported to the bubble, and they couldn't have cared less about even being there, and it showed.
Well, there's nothing like playoff hockey in August, man.
Right.
Oh no, anyway.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what everybody thinks of August playoff hockey.
Right.
But they didn't even want to play it. So it's like, is the buy-in going to be there from the players? And I think it's different when you're
right.
talking about a sport like really just a sport that's not football, where the physicality isn't. I'm not bashing these sports, but it's just not as a physical, demanding, grueling, like impactful game. Baseball, you can play 160 in a season, in a normal season. And you can social distance for the most part. Like, I mean, all that kind of stuff goes into it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. I still kind of wrapping my head around how I feel about football season, other than just the general excitement. I'm happy if the Gators are going to be out there. I want to be out there to support them, and I want them to win. Part of it just feels a little weird, a little off. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wish it didn't feel that way, but
yeah, no, it's 2020.
Yeah,
that's
I'm like super curious to like watch the game on TV. And
right.
like what the energy is going to be like.
And it may be, it may wow us the other way. It may be some kind of pure, like the players that play are going to be all in, and it's going to be.
I mean, just based off what I know about Dan Mullen, I expect the play. Like
commitment.
I expect
Yeah.
the commitment. I expect the football to be good football. Like,
it'll be good.
What I'm unsure of is like when you score a touchdown and there's no cheering, what that's gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, are they gonna let the players celebrate a little bit more so that way they can at least like cheer for themselves a little bit?
You
You know what I
would
mean?
hope so, right?
Like, I mean, those are the things that are kind of like strangely going through my mind here.
Right. That's
bit.
where
It's
college
like,
sports is so different than any other. I mean, I think every sport anywhere relies on an atmosphere and stuff like that. But the pageantry in college football, and sometimes the rules in college football get a little bit different. And what are they going to let them get away with and not? And I don't know. How do you, are the bands going to be there? Are they going to hear the fight song play after a touchdown? Like, it's just, no one really knows those answers until it plays out.
No, they don't. And after the first game, though, I think a lot of people will be very, very enthused and excited one way or the other. Like, oh, hey, we did play a game. Oh, let's see how this turns out. Are they going to be healthy next week? And just keep our fingers crossed and stuff like that because, again, we're playing in 3 weeks. Other people are already playing. I mean, BYU and Navy and Middle Tennessee State and Marshall. I mean, all those teams that you probably never would have given, with all due respect. I mean, I love college football, but I watch more crazy football these last, 2 weeks than I probably would have.
Okay, so I haven't watched any of this. So, I mean, has it just been weird, like even listening to it? From there not being fans or like not a lot of fans. Well, I don't know what they're doing.
They have just some fans in the stands, like Marshall. I mean, they were all spread out, but it was like maybe a big high school crowd. I mean, but they still made noise, and those guys were so excited on the sidelines when they scored, and it was
okay.
I mean, it was kind of cool because at the end of the day, those guys are they're playing for themselves too. I mean, they're playing for their teams and their cities and their fans, but they wouldn't be out there if they didn't want to do that. And but their health and safety has to be first and foremost. I think Florida's done a great job. Everything I've heard, all the different policies they have in place, I think, the Gators, I mean, they're very healthy right now, but if they have some problems, it's just because there's a virus out there, not because they didn't try, so.
Credit to the staff and also to the university, because I know they've relied heavily on UF Health to inform those decisions and everything. So.
Absolutely. So it's all good.
So into the, I get to ask sports questions now, just to go. So I always have this one big question when it comes to people that work in sports marketing, professionally. And you mentioned your wife is big Penn State, and you worked there for a while. So what were her feelings when you left?
Well, I mean, gosh, and we went to Pitt, which is the arch rival for Penn State too.
And that's kind of where I'm going.
No, right. So that was hard. I mean, and first of all, when I first met my wife in Dayton, Ohio, and she said she went to Penn State, I was a real smart ass at the time, and I said, "Oh, Penn State, where they fly a helicopter over Beaver Stadium and drop diplomas." That didn't go over very well. I mean, she ended up marrying me. She goes, "That was very nice of you." She goes, "Oh, you're from South Bend." I didn't even go to Notre Dame, but I'm, Notre Dame, And so she knew I was a smart aleck from the beginning. But no, we loved getting back there, and those were her old stomping grounds, man. I mean, just her friends would show up and all that stuff. But she's from Pittsburgh originally, so we kind of had a chance to go back to Pittsburgh, and so it was good stuff. My wife is when I met her, well, she's a news reporter and a news anchor. She hasn't worked in 3 years. She was working in Pittsburgh 3 years ago, but her whole career has been anchoring and reporting the news. So really. There's not a whole lot I can put over on her. Do you know what I mean? If she didn't want to leave Penn State, we probably wouldn't have left Penn State.
Right.
Not that I don't wear the pants in my family when she's not around. You know what I'm saying? I don't have shorts on right now, but
we compromised and she got her way.
No, right. So, but it was a blast. I had a blast up there. I mean, just some stuff happened, but still, 113,000 fans.
Oh, it's unreal, right?
Yeah.
So I guess where I'm going with that though is how do you compartmentalize the fanhood, because you're by birth, by family, a Notre Dame fan, and then you go and work professionally for a rival, right? Sure, you can have your feelings inside about maybe secretly wanting Notre Dame to win, or maybe those paths don't cross, but when they do, it's you're conflicted. I could work for another college institution, right? But I couldn't work for Georgia or Florida State and pretend to be a
right.
That would be very I couldn't do it. So how do you compartmentalize your real fanhood versus who's paying your check?
Well, that's a really good question, but I always tell people that, hey, I get that new job, and the first thing I do is get new gear, and I got the Gators on my sleeve, the Gator on my hat, and I'm a Gator. I need to start acting like a Gator, talking like a Gator, however that looks and sounds like. But that's my thing. My whole life is I adapt like that. I'm an eternal optimist. I'm a sports nut. Deep down, I'm still a fan of my teams. But hey, Penn State, I'm wearing the Penn State hat. At Pitt, I'm wearing the Pitt hat. And Michigan State Spartans, go Sparty. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what you do in sports. And they always tell you that too. And when I recruited and hired people my whole career and managed them, I would always say, man, we want you to be a sports enthusiast, but we don't want you watching the game. You don't get paid to watch the game. You get paid to service your clients. You get paid to go troubleshoot. You get paid to do your job, not sit there and say, oh, look, the guy's on second base. Hold on a second. I want to see if he scores before I go help the lady that fell down the stairs. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You have to do a job. So you'd be surprised. You got into that environment. You might put the old Florida State hat on and look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm going to work.
I like to think that I'm pretty professional, but I think my loyalty complex is a little bit stronger.
But that's what's so cool about sports, though, is the whole loyalty factor. It's just there's so much enthusiasm about sports. People have their passion for their team, for their traditions, for their routines, and some people won't let that go. Others can invite other people into their traditions, and maybe now although my wife, I have to say, she hates Notre Dame. Over 25 years, I could not get her on that side of the fence, right? But that's okay. It's not going to happen. But that's the fun thing about sports. It brings people together, from all walks of life.
Right.
And that's why I always tell people. You don't know who's a Democrat, who's a Republican, who's a millionaire, who's struggling to pay their bills. They're all wearing their Penn State jerseys or their Sparty jerseys or their Gators jerseys, and for 4 hours on that day, they're all Gator fans. Mm-hmm. And then they'll go back, and fight with each other on social media that night. But, of course. Right. But
they will do that.
They will do that, yeah. But no, I just have a blast going into different markets and repping the team, so it's good stuff.
So what does it feel like to come into the SEC now? Since you came from the Big Ten, good at football, right? But they're not the SEC. So does that get annoying? Like the SEC, it just means more. The SEC thinks they're so great,
right? They do, don't they?
But there's proof.
No, right. Well, so my no, I'll tell you what though. I mean, my brother, I have a twin brother. We're not identical, all right, but my what's it called, fraternal twins, right? So he lives in Atlanta for the last 25 years, and Kennesaw, Georgia, actually, and the kids went to Harrison High School, and they're all Georgia fans there. My niece is a senior at Georgia, and Jennifer, and for the last several years, it's all I've been hearing about, man. Before I even got here, is the Georgia Bulldogs. That's all I've been hearing about. And I got down here, and all I did was post my picture at the swamp saying, it's great to be a Gator. Can't wait to take on the Bulldogs, right, Jennifer? To my niece. And next thing I know, she's criticizing me on social media. Uncle John, I like you, but this is serious business. You can't ever refer to the Gators on a post with my name in it. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, she was being serious. And I'm like, oh, okay. Go Gators, Right. So, but no, SEC's great. Seriously. I mean, it's just, can't beat the SEC when it comes to football and even the hoops. It's underrated for hoops sometimes. I mean,
it really is.
Where I come from, people don't even think about Kentucky in the SEC for hoops. They just think about Kentucky. Seriously, and that's the perception because you grew up in South Bend, Indiana. You're a Bobby Knight Indiana fan, or you're a Dare Phelps Notre Dame fan at the time, or you're a Kentucky fan, maybe Louisville. But it gets lost in the shuffle sometimes that there's that SEC connection with Kentucky. Sometimes just because they're Kentucky, and. But no, SEC it's an unbelievable conference, and we're playing football, and the Big Ten's not. So I mean, and that's sad actually. I mean, I feel bad for those guys. So, no, it's good stuff. I mean, I was with Pitt with the ACC. That's a little different, right? ACC hoops was fun though.
Right.
Working a sold out Peterson Event Center in downtown Pittsburgh when the Carolina Tar Heels come to town or the Duke Blue Devils come to town, and just the place is rocking and rolling, and Coach K. I mean. That's fun stuff. So that's what I enjoy about sports when you sell a sponsorship, and then you can activate that sponsorship. And first and foremost, it's for your client, right? Because you want to increase their business by them being a sponsor. But then the perk is having them at a game, one of the big games, going on the court, taking pictures while the Coach K and those guys are warming up and stuff like that. Those are fun perks and fun parts of the job that not every job can afford you to do. And I've really enjoyed that. That's cool.
Let me shift gears just a little bit. I mean, now you're here in Gainesville, right? So since you've been in Gainesville, what's been the most surprising thing about Gainesville to you?
So when I interviewed for the job, this is a true story. So somebody from Learfield IMG said, okay, well, there's an office in Orlando of sales guys, but this job's in Gainesville. And he's looking at me, I go, yeah? Well, no, did you hear what I just said? There's an office in Orlando and an office in Gainesville. And I say, hey, I'm all in on Gainesville, man. Oh, you'll go? Thank God. I mean, but that was bad, though. You know what I mean? It's perception-wise. It was like,
right, why
wouldn't I want it? No, well, I just think it's because I think sometimes people think that, if people don't think that people understand geography or the university situations, they're going to have this, thing in their head about, tiny little town, a college town. Gainesville's awesome, man. It's huge. It's it's spread out. There's so much going on. It's all these positive people, these positive things going on. I mean, I was so surprised when I got here. One of the first things I did was join the Chamber of Commerce. Every town I've ever lived in, I marched into the Chamber of Commerce office. And that's a true story. You can talk to Julianne here. I don't know if you know who she is with the
Raymond.
Chamber. Yeah. So you can talk to her. I called her up. She goes, come on down. I signed us up. Gator Sports Properties had never been a chamber member. I mean, they just, granted, we do a lot of state business and all over the place, but when I go somewhere, man, I attach myself to the town. And I love Gainesville. I really do. I mean, I just think there's so much cool stuff going on here, aside from the Gators. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, the University of Florida brings all that to the table, and over the years, generation after generation, it developed and evolved into what it is. But look at all these cool things going on and people that are evolving as startup businesses in 2004, like you, right? And here you are all these years later, rocking and rolling, right? And just and there's other stories just like yours. The master lawn care guy the other day, I was checking out that video. That's a great story too. I mean, it just seems like there's so many opportunities for people to just kind of get some things done around here. And And by the way, there's the Gators, and it's one of the most prominent football programs in the country. And by the way, there's the I think they're disrespected Gators basketball program sometimes that needs more props, because I mean they're so awesome, and those back-to-back championships, and not personally disrespected, but just I think they're what do you call it, underestimated or underrated. You know what I mean? But still, I mean, gymnastics. I went to one gymnastics event in my life. You know, it was at Michigan State, maybe in front of 2,000 people at an old field house. I come here, there's 10,000 people at the gymnastics meet.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that shows me that there's just this variety of a diversity of cultures and fans that support their different teams. You know what I mean? So it's football, basketball, gymnastics, baseball, softball. Baseball, this new stadium. But yeah, so Gainesville, I'm all in on Gainesville. You know, I mean, and I mean that. I mean, I think it's just a neat place and underrated.
Is there anything that you've seen so far, though, like coming from all these other, college towns and college atmospheres and stuff? Is there anything like when you came here, you're like, man, like Gainesville's missing this, or like those other communities had something that this one didn't? Was there anything that like really stood out to you?
I don't think there's anything that really stood out to me. I mean, the University of Pittsburgh was in the city, so that's different. The Michigan State Spartans was right next to the state capitol. It's just different.
Right.
Penn State's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally the middle of nowhere. When the students go home, there's like 18, 20,000 people in this middle of these mountains, and so there's not a lot to compare that to, right? But here, I mean, I think the pandemic has proven that to me too. I mean, there's hustle and bustle and stuff going on, even without the university being in session, without some of the games going on. So I just think that there's a lot more going on in Gainesville than people give it credit for. That's for sure. And then Florida being such a big state, it's just it's just one city connected to the next city in some ways. I mean, you can go in either direction an hour and a half and you hit water.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's awesome. I mean. So.
I think that's one of the biggest selling points.
Sure.
I always tell everybody, I'm like, man, you're like 2 hours from anything. You want to go to Tampa? 2 hours. Orlando? 2 hours. Beach? Hour and a half. Jacksonville? Hour and a half.
It's funny you say that, because
it's just like we're so centralized, we can go anywhere.
And the thing is, and it's just much more fun down here to do it, because when I lived in Michigan, they were saying the same thing as far as, hey, I'm only an hour and a half from Lake Michigan, which there's some nice beaches, and then you're an hour and a half away from some other lakes in the Detroit River, but this is different. I mean, in Florida, you're like an hour and a half, 2.5 hours away from this, and this, and then hey, if you want to go 4 or 5 hours south, you head down there. So, but no, Florida's been good. So I'm still getting used to the humidity and the heat, all that stuff. I mean, I grew up in humidity, but just not nonstop. That's okay.
Have you met love bugs yet?
What are the love bugs? I don't know.
The University of Florida created that. They didn't actually.
Really? Okay.
No, that's a urban legend, but.
But I love the weather because I love to run. So I finally picked up running again this year. And when the pandemic started, I told myself, man, I'm going to drop 25 or 30 pounds, and I did it.
Awesome.
Seriously, I mean,
I noticed that you post a lot of like motivational type content when you're running. Like there's something about running that really kind of clears the mind.
Yeah.
I've very often pulled out my phone and recorded a piece of content when during the same time. I've had a bum knee this year, so I've not been running as much.
How'd
as
you
I
get that
used
bum
to.
knee, Collin?
Oh, playing capture the flag with the kids.
Nice.
Yeah, but some of the stuff that you say and you put out there is really excellent. Now, I've seen most of this content on LinkedIn, I think, is where I see most of it. Are you posting it everywhere?
Yeah, I've been trying to post it everywhere, and really, like I was telling somebody the other day, I mean, my whole life I've been an eternal optimist, but I'm human like anybody else as far as being up and down, and you got to drag yourself up sometimes. And so doing that kind of stuff just makes me feel better. It makes me take a word, whether it's confidence, enthusiasm, empathy, whatever I'm talking about or I'm thinking about, it's more self-affirmation. It doesn't mean that I'm good at it all the time. It doesn't mean that I practice it as much as I should, but it just reminds myself of how powerful it can be. That showing empathy or, forgiveness or whatever word I concentrate on, because it just makes me feel good to talk through it. And then I was telling myself, at first I was just keeping those videos to myself. Then I just thought, it's the pandemic, it's 2020. I think the rules have changed, and I just kind of want to share the good stuff. That's my thing. I share the good stuff because it's free.
Right.
That's my slogan, because I believe that, because when you share bad stuff, you pay the price. inside, you get depressed, you get wound up, you feel bad. Oh, did I share something bad that I shouldn't have? Did I do something that I shouldn't have done? We all make mistakes. We all do that sometimes, but that's been my slogan for 6 months, man. Share the good stuff. It's free.
So where does that positive mindset come from? Because really, I've gone to mindset a couple times in the last few episodes, because really, when I look at 2020, and when I look at myself, I'm a very positive person, like extremely positive, but I'm telling, and I've said it a couple times, like 2020 has just really done a number on me. Like I'm not as positive, as energetic. I have actually, if you really dig in, you're going to see that the amount of content that I've put out has tanked, has gone, because to be honest, like I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, you know what, like I kind of just need a social media break for myself,
right,
for my mental health. Like I actually need to take a step back for a little bit, and and then I come across like content like and I just I'm like, man, like that's it, right? Like how do you, in a year like 2020, like how do you keep such a positive, optimistic outlook? And I'm asking, like, I feel like I said, I'm generally a very positive person.
Right.
I have a great mindset for the most part, but even somebody like myself could use a pep talk right now.
Right.
What's the pep talk for 2020?
Well, no, I mean,
where's that mindset come from?
I have to tell you, I mean, I've been an eternal optimist my whole life, right? Just very positive. I was the kid that was watching Cubs baseball when I was 6 years old and wouldn't leave. My mom's like, you got to go outside and play. I go, no, I want to watch the Cubs. And
this is the year.
And then, right. And then, but they might lose. And every once in a while I might sit there and say, dumb Cubs. I'm 6 years old. What did I know? But no, I mean, I was just always like positive, and my mom and dad were always very supportive. So it kind of came from them, and it came from sports. My college football coach, his name is Nick Morosis at DePaul University. I mean, he would always sit there and say, don't be like an Otis elevator, man. Do you know what an Otis elevator is? It's an elevator company. If you ever go on an elevator, you'll see Otis, like on a lot of elevators.
Okay.
And he'll say, don't be an Otis elevator. Don't find yourself up on the 13th floor 1 minute, and 30 seconds later, you're on the 7th floor, and 40 seconds later, you're on the 12th floor. Even keel, level-headed, take a deep breath. I mean, he would always preach that. Don't be like an Otis elevator, And I love that, though, because it's true. I mean, life can be like an elevator ride, right? If you're not careful. I mean, you got to calm down. So anyway, I've always been very calm, or not, I shouldn't say calm, but just optimistic. And then I've taken some shots in my life, man. I mean, I've been through some stuff in terms of my professional career, just learning how to deal with some of that stuff. An owner pulling the plug on a team that I had no control over, and then I'm out of a job. Or, one of the biggest scandals in the history of college football hits at Penn State. And that's sad. We lost sponsors. I mean, so I learned through some crisis management situations to just really become more and more positive as I go along. And when Bill O'Brien, the current Texans coach, came in to Penn State for those 2 years, the first thing he did was put plastered "Ignore the Noise" from the Patriots all over the Penn State locker room, all over the training facilities. And I bought into that. Because he would sit there, he's a really cool guy. And he goes, you know what, John, we just don't have control over most of the things we think we have control over, so you just got to ignore the noise. And
that's so good.
And I love that, man. And so I do that, and then I had to do a better job of embracing change. That was another one of my runs. Because, some people are stubborn. They don't want to embrace change. And the next thing you know, they're getting all stressed out inside and out, and they're getting depressed, and they're getting down, and they're taking it out on themselves and then others. And so I just... it took some work. I mean, I wasn't always there, but I'm there now. You look in the mirror and you take care of yourself so you can take care of others. It's as old as the hills, and
is it solely the experience that has gotten you there, or is it something else?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's the experience. It's just, I don't know. I just think, my parents, I give them a lot of credit. I'm one of 6 kids, and they're, I have some real, idiots for brothers. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? It's a numbers game, right? So, but no, I just always stayed positive, stayed focused, was always the guy, my dad would always say, oh, if you lose, don't worry, try harder next time, you might win. But it was always very supportive. And so it's the experience, it's the attitude. I try to stay focused. My wife, Lori, being the former, news person that she is all those years, she's a little bit more sarcastic, right? And cynical, because she's seen all this bad stuff in the world. She's like, shakes her head. Are you going to post another one of those videos? And I go, yep. But she knows it makes me feel good, So, yeah. And if you can spread a little bit of that to someone else, not to pat myself on the back or to make me look at me, but more like if one person can hear a message and say, hey, you know what, maybe I should consider embracing change. Maybe I need to think more about adversity and how I'm dealing with it, so I won't come out on the wrong side of that when it's all said and done, so.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly why we do this. It's so, the amount of times I've had somebody reach out to me and say, man, this particular episode really impacted me, or like I decided to make this change in my life because of this episode you just aired, like those types of things, man, like that. I guess I have so much purpose in that, right?
No, you guys. I mean, again, I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing, and I don't mind, telling you that the episode with Lauren was good. Douglas, right? Yeah, love that. I looked her up. We chatted for a bit.
That got kind of deep.
No, it did.
I love you, Lauren.
Collin tenses up just thinking about it.
No, but it did, and I reached out to her right away, and we had a little conversation, and just because I wanted to kind of see what makes people tick, and if they're going to be on your show and talking like that, and if they can deal with you, I want to know. Yeah. So
if you can handle my problems, you can handle Gainesville's problems, the world's problems.
But in all honesty, the one thing I would say is it's 2020, it's the pandemic, and I think all the old rules are out the door. Not rules, but like the people being timid or afraid to speak up or just show your emotion or ask for help, or it's okay not to be okay. I mean, just all those things that people always talk about behind closed doors or whisper about. I mean, I think that's coming out in the open right now, and that's okay, man. We all need to be there for each other no matter who we are.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's really good, because I just feel like the word that I've used a lot this year is that it's just super heavy. It's like super heavy, and I've I try to maintain that positivity and try to, when somebody still reaches out to me and they need somebody to talk to, like I'm still there and I'm still listening, but man, I'm just not pumping out the content that I'm normally pumping out. I'm not dude, I've been working 3 jobs around here, right? I mean, you have too. I mean, we're doubling up on our roles and responsibilities right now, just in order to keep the team lean. And a lot of it's had to do with the fact that we don't know what the hell the University of Florida is going to do next week.
Right, so you have all that stuff going on in your world, man. You got to balance it. You got family at home. I mean, you got those kids celebrating the birthday on the same day. That's kind of a good thing, though, I think, because you knock out one day of the year, you have a birthday party, and you're done, right?
He knocked out one day of the year, right?
I mean, there was a lot of partying this year for them, but
I understand.
I mean, but it was still good.
But I will tell you though, I mean, like you're a business. You guys are business people, so yeah. I mean, and I'm in business, and I'm lucky. I'm still working. I feel grateful that I have a job. It was no secret. I mean, my company, they had to furlough a bunch of people across the country in different jobs. I was fortunate I didn't get furloughed. I was fortunate that I didn't lose my job. I mean, every day I wake up and believe me, I'm grateful for that, right? So, but I will say that you asked me if it's just certain things. I think it does evolve from certain things. I mean, I will tell you without getting into it that it was about 4 years ago, I think, there was a social media argument I got on with one of my friends, and that's the last time I argued on social media with anybody. I mean, it wasn't nasty, but it was kind of like, wait a minute, and I caught myself like, wait a minute, that's not me, man. I'm not that guy. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not going to let somebody get to me from something that they wrote about something on Twitter or Facebook just because I don't agree with it. And that's kind of when I realized, that's funny. It was kind of like around the time of the last election. But anyway.
Funny how that happens.
No, but I'm just saying, I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're all guilty of stuff like that. So I love what I'm doing right now. I love sharing the good stuff, and I love sharing those thoughts and those ideas. But it probably all started up big time lately because it evolved to that point where I needed it for myself. I needed to fire myself up every day, and I feel like I'm good to go now.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. I feel like sometimes it it's so hard in a lot of ways just because. You were talking about what was ignore the noise,
right?
Right. There's so many things outside of your control that you know,
right.
and then there's those areas, right, where you can control some aspects. And what I mean and where I'm going with this is like, let's circle back to the fact that football's about to happen, okay? And they're talking about like leaving these restaurants and stuff. Like these restaurants need to be open,
right?
Right? And and I'll try to like say all this without getting too political, right? Because I don't want to talk about politics, but like I look at these businesses and they need to be open. They need to have people come into their bars and watching these football games, right?
Right.
And then you have like our city saying, like they're talking about closing the restaurants and the businesses during the football games, which I'll put my opinion out there. I think is absolute ludicrous, right? I come from the standpoint of, all right, if you're afraid of getting sick, then don't go to the bar.
Right.
Just keep your ass at home.
Yeah, you can control where you go.
Right. So that's my thought process. So like, I don't know, those types of things, are they, I guess they're controllable from the standpoint that you can get out and vote. I mean, what are your thoughts on that whole thing? The whole bar, like the restaurants and the bars being open, like what are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I'm a bar fly, like I always have been. I love the idea of going. If I'm not there,
if you
at
can't
the
be
Gator
at the
game,
you're gonna be
right.
at the bar.
I love especially this time is super dear to me because the friends that I built through playoff hockey at a local pub here have become friends for life, really tight community. A lot of them different teams. They're not even Lightning fans like I am. It's just like we all crowd in the bar. They're watching one screen, I'm watching the other, and then we win our series, and now we're playing each other, and where there would normally be animosity, now it's just like friendly, banter and whatever like that. And so I just love that. And so we're all kind of watching these hockey games unfold right now, and the best we can do is just talk to each other on Facebook Messenger, and that sucks. I get it, and some of us have, moved on different places, but it just doesn't feel the same. And so I miss that. I don't know what's right here. I hear you say that. And from an economic standpoint, I completely agree. From I think hindsight's always 20/20. If we could go back and actually take 2 weeks seriously, you see those memes, right? If we had actually just shut down for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long and did it for real, would we still be here today? I think that question is valid, but who knows? So I don't know what the answer is. I don't really have a strong enough conviction one way or the other to be mad if they say you can't go to the bar, or to be, mad if they close this down again or anything like that. I want it to be over.
I want it to be over.
I just want it to be over. I want to return back to things, and I think arguing about things that we just don't know about. Like I said, if we could go back and actually dedicate, with intensity 2 weeks, we'd be out of this. So, I mean, that may well be true, but we don't know that, and so there's no point in arguing about it. And I just
can't change the past, right?
Yeah, I just want people to be responsible,
But in some ways, I mean, time just seems to be flying by. So my thing is, nothing's forever, right? So we're going to make it through this, okay? We're going to have our first home game, and who knows? Maybe they will open some bars and restaurants. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll wait till the second game. But the next thing you know, I mean, we're halfway through the season. So, I mean, I'm hoping that maybe that's how they judge it, not, there's 5 home games and nobody gets to open until next year. I mean, maybe figure out how it works. Let's see what kind of crowds you might or might not get. I mean, I think obviously they're probably afraid of just massive crowds hanging out in the streets of Gainesville, right, with home football games and no tailgating and whatever. But I think people are still going to be hanging out.
Right. They're going to be at their homes, right? They're going to have home parties.
Right. The city manager said as much. He's like, if they're not hanging out here where we can kind of control through social distancing and through whatever outdoor seating at these bars, if we can kind of control that, it's better than closing it down and giving them the option to just stay at home where these actions aren't going to be, put in play.
And there's so many people in play here that you alluded to earlier. I mean, bar owners, business owners, people who make money on game days, game weekends, hotels.
They're already being affected so much by not having these massive amounts of people coming in to their restaurants, right? Like that's like so many of them are friends of mine, and I feel for them so much.
No, absolutely. Like, and that's the thing. So it's almost like, okay, now do you line 5 or 6 things up and pick here are the 2 or 3 really good things that are going on still, in our community, or that we can still do through the pandemic, and then you always have to think about those other guys that just aren't getting any love. They're not making the money. They're not opening up, and the whole thing's just sad. I mean, it really is. And I have so much compassion and for everybody, that's going through this, right? I mean, that's why somehow, some way, we're all in this together for like the greatest comeback of our lifetime, period. Whether it's sports related, economic related, I mean, we'll look back and we'll say, wow,
we made it through that.
We made it through that. You know, I mean, you guys are, you know, probably having record sales right now. I don't know, but when moving forward, you're going to do great. You know what I mean? I mean, by the way, how long have you guys been open?
Since 2004, 16 years.
Right. That's unbelievable. I mean, I've lived all over the country and attended seminars and worked with Chamber of Commerces, and they talked about, you know, small businesses, big businesses, middle-sized businesses, and the first year, the first 3 years, you know, and the ones that come and go and the ones that make it. I mean, seriously, what an accomplishment that is in itself, right? So that's why it probably hits you even harder to see all this happening, right? Because I mean, you have a passion for it. You wouldn't be here for 16 years. I mean,
for sure. Well, but you know what else? Like, I don't know. And maybe that's why I've kind of, you know, like I said, I haven't been posting as much content. I've definitely been like zeroed in, like on my business, right? I'm like, I want to ensure its survival. So I've been like so right here, focused on just it. You know, and a lot of people have talked to me, have talked about the economics. You know, you talk about the, you know, 2007, 2008 time when business, you know, a lot of businesses were struggling during that time. Well, like we were killing it.
Right.
Right. And, you know, I look at, and the thing that I've always pointed to for that reason has been like, well, you know, we're kind of in our own economy. And that just hasn't been the case this year. I've always looked at the bottom line is there's new freshmen coming to that university this fall. Like I've always been able to point to that.
Right.
I've always been able to point to the, like, no matter what, there's going to be new students going to that university. And so we've always had our own little economic driver of students. Yep. And this is the first year that I can really remember that being severely disrupted.
Yeah,
right?
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
You know, so like in 07, 08, when all that stuff was happening in real estate and everything else, and like we really weren't affected. Like we made it through just fine and actually prevailed pretty well, you know? So I don't know. It's just like this is the first time that I've seen the little local economic driver being like really severely disrupted. Well, and I think that's what's really kind of screwed with my mind a little bit this year. Because, I mean, I know that you're not invincible in any business, but there's always been some security in that. You know, there's always been the security in the fact that, hey, there's freshmen starting this year. Like, there's going to be new students coming into Gainesville.
Right. And the thing about it is, though, that's totally out of your control, right? So it's so frustrating, but it's totally out of your control. So, you know, it's not like you changed your business plan in the off season and tried something new and it failed and boy, I never should have done that, and you know, whatever, it had nothing to do with you. That's what we do. We sell college sports partnerships, and so we buy into that too, that every year there's new athletes, every year there's new hope. You know, it's not did the Pittsburgh Pirates, you know, fail again for the 25th year in a row to put a baseball team on the field? Yes, they did, and they're not going to win. Do you know what I mean? So, but here it's like multi-generational support for a team that's been around forever, the Gators. And to your point, that new group of freshmen comes to town, you know, whether it's student athletes, students, or whatever. Some of our clients, just like you guys, who appeal to those kids, they get excited. I mean, they missed out on all that too. Seriously, that's part of my favorite time of year is activation season. You know, you wouldn't see it because we didn't have one this year, but I love posting like on LinkedIn. I would sit there and say, you know, some people, you know, you heard it's Shark Week. Well, it's Activation Week, you know, and I'd make up some goofy, you know, graphic or whatever with a shark. You know, it's Activation Week, and we need to, you know, start getting all the clients' advertisements put out there, the digital ads, the social media ads, the radio ads, you know, I'm so goofy. I'm taking pictures of the, what's it called, the high noon billboards out there. Do you know what I mean? Is that what it's called? Yeah, the drink
it's
from...
It's like a seltzer.
Yeah. So they just put up brand new billboards. I'm like, yeah, that's our client, man. I'm taking pictures of them. You know, but I love that stuff. I love this time of year. So we missed out on that too. We missed out on the whole newness of that year. So I think everybody is kind of experiencing that a little bit, but you guys are so affected by it because you got into this business. Believe me, I'm just learning about your business, but for my take on it, I mean, you dialed it in, man, 16 years ago. I mean, you knew what type of business you're getting into. You knew the value of being right here with this town. you're Gator people, you understand the Gator brand, and that's part of your routine. You didn't just move to town in 2004 say, oh, let's open up a bike shop. I mean,
right.
So I can see where that affects you, but man, you got no control over it, so.
Yep. Ignore the noise, people.
Ignore the noise, right.
So, John, this has been a lot of fun, man. Mike, do you have any last-minute questions before we wrap it up?
Last minute? I don't know. I do kind of want to talk real quick, if I can. We talk a lot about mindset here,
right.
And
that was a big word today.
And being a sports fan, I think there's a lot of people out there that have a favorite team or whatever, but being a dedicated sports fan, a sports nut, somebody like you that's just been into it since you could remember, right? If we just walk down a path of how that sports fanhood creates this positivity mindset, because from a professional standpoint, I'm at if you listen to Mick Hubert do a call or anybody, as much as they want to maybe dwell on an underperforming team, they can't do it because it's not professional. Right. So they have to stay positive, no matter how poor the team is doing, no matter what boneheaded mistake somebody makes. They have to color it in a way that's not abusive or negative or anything. They put a positive spin on it. As a sports fan, you're Cubs fan. There's always this is the year. Right. Well, next year's the year. Well, the year after that's the year, right?
Right.
And all it takes is riding a hot goalie through the playoffs or a 10-game win streak or something. You could have a miserable year this year, and guess what? Next year there's a blank slate, and there's something very beautiful about that. So as a sports fan, as a dedicated sport, I hear it when you talk through your positivity. Does that framework contribute to your positivity and to that, like you said, ever optimist, because there's just a certain resiliency there.
No, absolutely, and I buy into that, and I want to portray that to my clients and my prospects too. Like if you come on board with me, I go to work for you. Win or lose, we're going to draw fans. We're going to put your product in front of all these people. I lay it out for them in a very positive way. That I like to do, just because that's what we do. If someone wants to partner with you, you have to show them all the enthusiasm in the world that you have to be an extension of their brand, and that's what I love about it. And I'll tell you what, one quick hockey story. This ring right here is a 2002 Taylor Cup Championship ring from Fresno, California, and we were at 2002. We set an attendance record. I was proud to get the Executive of the Year award. We got the Team of the Year award. But we had the worst record in hockey at Christmas time in 2001. We were awful. The team was just brutal. And I'm hosting all of our players at this country club for a Christmas party, and they're all gloom and doom and whatever. And we pull out this karaoke. We made every one of them get up and sing, and we said, "Come on, you guys! It's Christmas. We're 14 games under 500, et cetera, et cetera." We went on and won 85% of our games after that, and we just freaking killed it and won in double overtime in Boise, Idaho to win the Taylor Cup. And to this day, all these hockey players, I'm connected to all of them on LinkedIn. I share the videos that I produced for the Taylor Cup Championship. I wear this ring with pride because it reminds me of the time that we were in last place on Christmas Day, and we came back and we still drew the fans and we won the games. And that's kind of what it's all about. I always tell people, it's programming. The hockey's programming, the Gators are programming, gymnastics is programming. We're going to just be as enthusiastic as possible and put together a whole, package of entertainment for people to pack the place and put all these people in front of your brands. Oh, and by the way, we're playing a hockey game. Oh, by the way, there's a gymnastics meet around these 10,000 people that are showing up, and you just handed out 5,000 shirts. And yes, the gymnastics meet will start soon. But that's been my mindset the whole time. But I do attribute that to the fanhood. I do attribute that to being a fanatic, so-called. Just always cheering for the underdog, always cheering for my team. I'll cheer for your team too. Give me a good reason for, okay, great, now I'm a fan of your teams. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of people out there like that, seriously. And I right now, what I'm just telling people not to be afraid to show it. Show your fandom. Get out there, share the good stuff. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to be positive, right? So, but I like it. So.
That's good. Hey, where can our audience connect with you?
Well, let's see. So, from a business standpoint, I'm on LinkedIn, and my Instagram, I'm at JP Tull. So okay. My middle initials P, at JP Tull. I'll connect with anybody on Facebook. I love sharing the good stuff there. I do have a YouTube page. It's youtube.com/John Tull Sports Marketing 2020. So I'm a freak, man. I just load up stuff, and I don't edit as much anymore as I used to, just because I got lazy.
Yeah.
So I just kind of put, you get this and you just kind of slice and dice. And, you know what I mean? But
I don't know what you mean because James does all of our editing. I don't know what that's like.
Right. But anyway, there's that. I'm on Twitter at JP Tull. And
sharing the good stuff because it's free.
Share the good stuff. It's free.
It's free.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it.
So, hey man, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you guys, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I love you guys, and I love your shop and your business.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate that.
And I'm going to buy 2 of those shirts. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
These shirts, you guys, they're available at whoagnv.com. Go to the shop on there. And, thank you so much for listening, subscribing, sharing, and helping us make Gainesville awesome. You guys are absolutely incredible. Hey, if you missed, the information about our sponsors, that kind of thing, you can find our sponsors at whoagnv.com/sponsors. And definitely support our sponsors, guys. They make this show happen. And this is the WHOA GNV podcast. The podcast bring you businesses and individuals that make you go,
whoa.
whoa. We will see you later. Bye.